Welcome to The Schuby Show, where sports, movies, TV shows, technology, history, and more come to life. Now, please be seated and get ready for some more never-ending nonsense with yours truly, Schuby.
This is The Schuby Show with yours truly, Carson Schubert. And today on The Schuby Show, we have no guests, so I guess we might as well just call it quits right now. Just kidding. We're not calling it quits because it is The Schuby Show, and that means that I do get to talk once in a while, believe it or not. I will today be reviewing my experience of seeing the movie Spiderman Homecoming, and I'll be doing that here in just a little bit, and just a sneak peek of the review. If you really don't want to know what it's about yet, or if you don't really want to know much about the plot, I would listen to the preview that I'm going to play for you guys, and then I would probably not listen to the rest of the episode until you've seen the movie. So please go see it, then you can come back and listen to the rest of this episode. So this is a spoiler episode. I'm just going to tell you, spoiler episode of Spider-Man Homecoming, the movie. I'm going to be talking about that and reviewing it, and we'll have the preview of that here in a moment, but I want to remind everybody, of course, follow The Schuby Show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, all at The Schuby Show. And you can follow me on Twitter at Carson Schuby. And you can email the show if you have an inquiry, a question, or you have somebody that would be good for the show. Email the show, theshubyshow@gmail.com. Or you can visit our website and get a hold of us that way as well, www.theschubyshow.com. And that's SCHUBY. And again, if you know anybody who is knowledgeable with sports, movies, TV shows, technology, history, or just think they would be a good guest, please contact us via email or social media on the platforms that I just listed for you guys. So please do that. We have some exciting guests coming up here in the next month or so, and you'll get to hear more about those guests as we get them. And I'm hoping to record a show again later this week. It won't be released this week, but released hopefully next week. I'm still looking to get the right guest. I have some guys in mind. It's just a matter of which one is going to be available. Hopefully one of them is. And should be a good show for you next week, even though I will not be doing a show next week. You guys will be hearing a show next week. So that is just about ready to do it. Again, also don't forget to find us on iTunes, and please leave us a review. We're hoping that you guys could leave us a review, and maybe in the future we will give people some prizes for reviewing the show if it's a good review. No, I'm just kidding. You can give us a review on iTunes and just tell us if you liked a certain episode or if you liked the show in general. Leave a review on iTunes. Go to iTunes and find The Schuby Show and leave a review. And hopefully it's a good one. But if it's not, we want to hear the feedback. We are always looking for ways to improve here on The Schuby Show. So please go to iTunes, leave a review, and maybe in the future we will be giving away a prize or two for somebody who reviews something or reviews our show on iTunes. So maybe a good way for you to get a free prize if you just review the show. That's all you got to do, because it helps us get up in the iTunes rankings, and we want this show to grow. So someday when you're looking or you're passing somebody on the street, you could say, "Hey, you ever listen to The Schuby Show?" And you could say, "Yeah, I've listened to that." Yeah, so that's what we're hoping for. We're hoping for this thing to grow. So please review the show if you would be so kind. So that is going to do it for the pregame, as so to speak. And now I'm going to play the preview of Spider-Man Homecoming. This trailer will also be in the description, so you can see the video of it as well. Here it is, Spider-Man Homecoming.
finally, here we go.
Good evening, Peter.
Whoa!
You have 576 possible web shooter combinations.
That is awesome. I can keep that suit?
Yeah, doesn't fit me.
When's our next retreat?
What, next mission? We'll call you. All right?
It's not a hug. I'm just grabbing the door for you.
We're not there yet.
All right, kid.
Good luck out there.
Hey, Peter. You coming tonight? I can't tonight. I got the Stark internship. What's up, guys? Mr. Stark, here's my report for tonight. I stopped the Grand Theft bicycle. Hey, could you do me a favor? Hold on to that. Is this anybody's bike? Oh, I helped this old lady and she bought me a churro. So, that was nice. I just feel like I could be doing more. Wait a minute. You guys aren't the real Avengers. Hulk gives it away. New move I'm working on. Not bad. Oh, God, this feels so strange. These weapons are crazy dangerous.
Listen, Peter, there are people who handle this sort of thing. Can't you just be a friendly neighborhood Spider-Man?
Let go of me! Let go of me!
Activating parachute.
The world's changing, boys. It's time we change, too.
This is my chance to prove myself.
We have a Spanish quiz.
You gotta get better at this part of the job.
I don't understand. Oh, I'm intimidated. Oh, hey, guys.
Our friends are up there! Hey, where are you going? What are you hiding, Peter? I'm just kidding, I don't care. Bye.
There's a ton of other subsystems in here, but they're all disabled by the training wheels protocol.
I'm sick of Mr. Stark treating me like a kid.
But you are a kid.
Yeah, a kid who can stop a bus with his bare hands.
So that was the preview of Spider-Man Homecoming, the movie I've already seen. And now I will take a look at the movie. As we take a look here on the Schuby Show, we've already reviewed one movie on the show, and that was Guardians of the Galaxy 2. And that was a pretty good movie. But there's some different things that go with reviewing Spider-Man. For instance, there has been 3 different Spider-Man releases, 3 different, I don't know if you want to say series of Spider-Man movies. Yeah, series of Spider-Man movies that have been released in the past 15, 20 years, in the last 20 years, basically. And I'm going to say, personally, the first Spider-Mans of this century, which was Tobey Maguire and Kirsten Dunst, and of course, can't remember his name now. All of a sudden, Willem Dafoe, and why can't I think of his name? He's always in movies with. Oh, James Franco. Yep. Wow. Can't believe I didn't remember the most famous actor of all of them. I think anyway. But I'm gonna say of all 3 series of Spider-Mans that have been released, I think that series with those 3 guys, or with those 4 characters, especially in the first one, I think those were the best. Honestly, I thought Tobey Maguire fit kind of that nerdy Spider-Man, and I thought he did a good job of doing his part. I thought Kirsten Dunst was very good, and I know probably there's people are like, oh, you're not very critical at all, and I'm not really that critical. But I will say, I think that the first reboot of Spider-Man, which was with Andrew Garfield and that whole bunch of people, I will say that's the worst of them all, honestly. I mean, I didn't think it was bad. I mean, honestly, I think all of them have been pretty good. I will say that those two were the worst, though. I feel like this was the Spider-Man Homecoming that was released on July 7th. I think that was probably the second best one next to Tobey Maguire. I feel like it was more how Spider-Man was supposed to be. Like when you release Spider-Man, it's supposed to be more when he was kind of like a kid, like just starting out in high school. This is kind of like the transition period of when he's like just getting out of middle school. Now he's in high school and he's trying to adapt to his body and all that kind of thing, the changes that occur. And then he all of a sudden gets this power of shooting webs and everything. And it's supposed to be kind of a developmental experience. And another thing is that it relates to the kids that are in this age group, that high schooler kids and below, that, oh, there's a superhero that's actually our age or similar to us, so that relates to kids in that way, so I think that's a good thing. And, of course, Iron Man was in the movie, Tony Stark. He made an appearance in the movie. And that is not a spoiler. You can find that out by just Googling it and by just looking at the cast. And so, yeah, that's basically that. Taking a look here at the cast. First of all, Tom Holland is his name, the guy that played Peter Parker in Spider-Man. I never really knew him before this. Kind of like every actor that plays Spider-Man. Honestly, I didn't know Tobey Maguire before, and I was only like 8 years old, but I didn't know Tobey Maguire before he played Spider-Man, and I really didn't know much about Andrew Garfield before he played Spider-Man, so it's kind of a common occurrence. Same thing with James Bond. Like, I didn't know anything about Daniel Craig before he played James Bond, and maybe I just don't watch enough movies or something, but I didn't really know anything about him. Pierce Brosnan, I knew maybe a little bit about, but like Roger Moore and Sean Connery, those guys I knew, like, that is when I knew them, is when they played James Bond. I didn't know them before that. So yeah, Tom Holland played Peter Parker in Spider-Man. Michael Keaton was in the movie. He played the villain, and the villain's name was Vulture. And then Marissa Tomei played Aunt May Parker. And, of course, Jon Favreau, I think is how you pronounce that. He played Happy, of course, from the Iron Man movies. He's kind of Iron Man's guard and chauffeur kind of thing. And he was basically in the movie, and he was supposed to keep an eye on Peter Parker, making sure he didn't do anything that was not what he was supposed to do, or keep in school instead of trying to go out every night and try and make something happen. In the idea of trying to stop bad guys and that kind of thing. Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts made a very brief appearance. Zendaya, of course, from, I believe, the Shake It Up series on Disney Channel. She played Michelle, and I won't reveal at the end, but it was pretty interesting. They're hinting that Zendaya could be in more movies by what happened at the end. I won't tell you that, so you'll have to see the movie or you'll have to Google it. And then Donald Glover played Aaron Davis. Jacob Batalon played Ned. Laura Harrier played Liz. Tony Revollo played Flash. That's just a nickname. There wasn't actually a Flash in it because, of course, it's Marvel. And that's basically the cast here. So, and of course, directed by John Watts. Writing the credits mainly. Jonathan Goldstein, John Francis Daly, and John Watts, also with Christopher Ford, Chris McKenna, and Eric Summers. And, of course, Stan Lee made an appearance, again, as he always does in his Marvel movies. And let's take a look now at the critic reviews. Here are some of the reviews that are right on Google here. So if you type in Spider-Man Homecoming reviews in Google, you'll get this to pop right up, along with 3,200 other, or 3.2 million other results. First of all, a 92% on Rotten Tomatoes. That's how good Rotten Tomatoes had it as. And I kind of want to compare it here. And we'll do that in a few minutes. We'll compare the old Spider-Mans on Rotten Tomatoes and IMDb. IMDb gave Spider-Man Homecoming an 8 out of 10. And Metacritic gave Spider-Man Homecoming a 73%. So most of those are pretty solid reviews, not anything earth-shattering from Metacritic or, IMDb's was pretty good, and Rotten Tomatoes was excellent, 92%. Here's the critic reviews. First of all, from Betsy Bosdick of Common Sense Media, she says, clever, funny, and true to the Spider-Man spirit, this take on everyone's favorite web-slinger is thoroughly entertaining. And here's one from Paul Assay, plugged in. Oh, Spidey, Tony Stark was right. Your enthusiasm is admirable, but sometimes you could be a little more prudent. All right. I could go with that. He is pretty enthusiastic in the movie, which does kind of get a little bit annoying at times, but I mean, as a kid, that's exactly what Spider-Man probably was, or should be, is kind of a little bit excited and wanting to try out new things with, like, the webs, because he really didn't have an idea of all the things he could do with the webs until Iron Man gave him his new suit. Homecoming gets so many things right that it's almost difficult to catalog them. That was Christopher Orr of The Atlantic. And here is one from Nick Desemlian of Empire. The characters and scenarios are familiar, but this is a loose, cool, funny remix that makes them feel fresh again. Plus, it's mercifully short on life lessons from Aunt May. Well, that could be true, I would say. We've never seen a character as mythical as Spider-Man portrayed in such a user-friendly, sanded-down, after-school special way. That was by Owen Gleiberman of Variety. And Spider-Man Homecoming works as both a very funny high school comedy/drama and strong standalone superhero movie set in the MCU. Okay. And that was by Sandy Schaefer of Screen Rant. Here's one you guys will probably want to hear from the New York Times. Manola Dargis. Don't know the name, but know, obviously, the New York Times. It works best when it sticks close to Peter Parker and is content to be a good-natured story of a teenager who's navigating through the competing demands of school, home, and his emergent Spidey self. And there's a few more here. This one from Vulture and David Edelstein. The breeziest, most convivial Marvel movie in ages. Spider-Man Homecoming boasts a high school Peter Parker with no trendy superhero angst. I can see that, but at the same time, even though it's not really any trendy things, it's not maybe used. It's not. That's one thing I would say. It is not like the other Marvel movies. If you're getting like that, because again, he is in high school. It's like how I think Spider-Man should be. Spider-Man's a young guy, and that is exactly how they portray him in this movie. And I think they did it well. Honestly, I really do. This one is from. We got two more reviews. One from the Washington Post. This one by Michael O'Sullivan. Like its protagonist, who seems to be itching for a growth spurt of his own, the movie ultimately gets a little big for its britches. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not like I think that's what some people don't get, is that it's Spider-Man, yes, but it basically is Spider-Boy, if you think about it, because he's just, I think, honestly, I can't remember what grade he was actually in, but I think it was either he was a freshman or a sophomore, one of those two, and I think it was a sophomore, but basically he just got out of middle school and he's transitioning to high school, and now he's got these powers also. They really didn't go into detail about that, I don't believe, and again, it's been a few weeks since I've seen the movie, but I don't believe they went into detail of how he got stung, which, to me, is okay, because I kind of get sick of the superhero movies that always go with the same backstory. Oh, Bruce Wayne's parents got killed. Yay, we get to redo that again. Oh, Superman came from whatever planet it was. Ultron, no, I can't remember what planet it was. Yeah, I know I'm terrible at remembering details. But that, and we got to see where Thor originated from, and we get to see where Iron Man came from and how that happened. It's like, just give us the story. We know how it happened already. If you know anything about Iron Man, or if you know anything about Spider-Man, you know what happened. And he got stung, or he got bit, whatever you want to say, by a spider. And that's all we need to know. If we knew that already, we don't need to go into detail every single time they do a reboot, especially with Spider-Man, as this is the third reboot already in the past 20 years. It's like, okay, we get it. We know what's going on. Just get to the movie already. And I like that they did that. I am a fan of that. And I guess if I'm a person that hasn't seen Spider-Man, then you need to go and see the first one again, like the one with Tobey Maguire, so you can get an idea of it. Because if that was the first Spider-Man movie you've ever seen, unless you're a kid, then you have got an issue. You need to go you need to go back and see the original Spider-Man. Oh, I'll go see this one out of the blue instead of not seeing any of the other ones. I would never do that. I would never go to usually I don't go to a second movie, especially if it's a superhero movie. I never go to a second movie if I haven't seen the first one. Usually, 90 times out of 100, I will not do that, just because I want to know what happened first and that kind of thing, and take any hints that the first movie gave me and be able to plug them in to the second movie if I have to. So, the last review is by Joe Morgenstern, and of the Wall Street Journal. He says, Marvel has done the improbable by breathing big puffs of life into a declining franchise. Wow, they're saying Marvel is actually down in the dumps, I guess, is basically what he's saying. But maybe they're saying that because I think they reached a peak. Because after the Avengers, that was probably the peak. The first Avengers, or maybe even the second Avengers, one of those two areas, that was probably the peak of where Marvel can get. I don't know if they can get any further higher than what they have, just because it's such a hard standard to reach every time, because Avengers was so good. The second one was really good too, but yes, they have really good writers too, but it's just so hard to consistently bring great movies. You're going to have a Debbie Downer, so to speak, every now and then. You're going to have a movie that's not quite as good as the others, and then you're going to have people not quite as interested. And, of course, you've got DC now coming out with Justice League that's coming out at the end of the year. I'm so excited. But I'm also a little bit disappointed with how DC's doing it, because you're not going to get to see all the individual superheroes in their own movies before they all team up, which I think is dumb. But I think DC is kind of pushing themselves, and they're trying to get on Marvel's level before they even tell you the backstory of Justice League or the heroes in Justice League, like Aquaman. I don't even think there's ever been an Aquaman movie. If I stand corrected, that so be it, but I don't think there's ever been an Aquaman movie. I would love to see an Aquaman movie. And I'd love to see a Flash movie, honestly. I don't know if there's even been really a Flash movie. There's been the series. There's been Justice League as in the animated stuff. Maybe there's been one Flash movie from a long time ago. I know Flash Gordon, but not talking about him. I'm talking about The Flash. And I like Flash Gordon, by the way. The old movie with that old movie from the 80s, I believe. It's kind of corny and cheesy, but it's really hilarious, and it's good. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like DC's rushing it a little bit, trying to get on Marvel's level, and it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. So now here is something interesting that I thought. Kirsten Dunst criticizing the movie, and criticizing, I think, Marvel more particularly, and then Tom Holland, Spider-Man, fires back. First of all, Dunst starred alongside Tobey Maguire in the early 2000s trilogy of Spider-Man before Andrew Garfield took over the role, and then Tom Holland, stepped into the famous suit. However, the actress, Dunst, had told Variety, "We made the best ones, so who cares?" The best ones, plural, or plural. Can't think. "So who cares? I'm like, you make it all you want." They're just milking that cow for money. It's so obvious, you know what I mean? Responding in a chat with Movie In Co. UK, Holland kept his cool and said he doesn't care if Dunst sees his own outing or not. "You know, she's entitled to her own opinion, and I'm not one to judge at all," he maintained. And Holland seems like a very, very down-to-earth guy, not going to get into a fight over, really anything. And that's exactly how Peter Parker seems. And then you have Spider-Man on the inside, too. I definitely not doing this movie for the money. I mean, it's a job that I think anyone would do regardless of what you're getting paid, you know. All I know is I had the greatest time on this movie, and I absolutely loved it. And, you know, if she doesn't want to go see it, then I don't really care. He insisted, "I don't dislike her in any way for what she said, and she's entitled to her own opinion, so it's all cool." And that's what the article said. And then the end actually says, "Spider-Man Homecoming has been a huge success with critics and at the box office, and Holland will be seen in action next in Avengers Infinity War next year." And actually, I think that's the next Avengers movie. I was thinking of Captain America Civil War, which was really good, and that's when Spider-Man made his first appearance, which I kind of thought was strange that they made him have his appearance there first instead of having his own movie. But it was interesting. And it is kind of nice. I think it is kind of a good idea that they change it up a little bit, not make every superhero. I mean, you did that with some of the other ones too, like Black Widow and Hawkeye and Black Panther, and just there's a few other ones too. But I feel like it's okay that they do that, but I feel like DC needs to do that with some of their into the lead of Justice League. But I mean, Marvel already got the core of their Avengers. They did movies for them. I just feel like DC should do something similar to that. And I know they're not trying to copy Marvel, but at the same time, it's kind of almost common sense. Okay, we need to have our own movies before we can form this big team, Justice League. So, yeah, honestly, overall, I was very impressed with Spider-Man Homecoming. I think my dad said he didn't have very high expectations for it, and he was blown away compared to what his expectations were. He thought it was very good compared to that. And 2 hours and 13 minutes was the movie. Google users say 93% of them liked the movie. In the box office, it grossed over $571.9 million in the U.S. so far, and it's over the budget of $175 million, so they made money, that's for sure. I wanted to take a look at the first Spider-Man. And try and see what the 2002. Okay, so in 2002, it was a little bit worse for this Spider-Man. We'll read a few of the reviews here. First of all, 7.3 out of 10 on IMDb, and of course this has been years later, so there's been a lot more reviews. 89% on Rotten Tomatoes compared to 92% for Spider-Man Homecoming, and of course some of these things have been updated in 2017 compared to 2002 when this film was first released. And then some critic reviews of Common Sense Media. Neil Minow: Maguire is just right as Peter, which I agree with. The supporting cast is great. I agreed with that. And the script is excellent, and I agree with that mostly. Striking just the right note of respect and affection for the source material. And then Ian Freer of Empire says, Spider-Man does whatever a spider can and much more. Practically pitch-perfect summer entertainment. And then Jack Matthews of New York Daily News says, however, the real stars as they are in the comic books are the characters, and Raimi has cast them perfectly. That must be the casting. The director, Sam Raimi. And this one, of course, being out longer, has grossed more money than the Spider-Man Homecoming. It's grossed over in the box office over $821.7 million. And of course, Spider-Man's still going to be in theaters for a while in some parts. I think, like theaters that haven't showed it yet, like for instance, West Mall 7 in Sioux Falls. They haven't shown it yet. They haven't even shown Wonder Woman yet. And I'm going to Wonder Woman. Once I see Wonder Woman, I will be reviewing that as well. And I've heard nothing but good things of Wonder Woman also. So I'm really looking forward to seeing that. And yeah, so and 91% like this movie from Google users. So again, that's a 2% difference, 2% below what I said for Spider-Man Homecoming. And both movies are relatively similar in time. 2 hours and 1 minute for Spider-Man, and Spider-Man Homecoming was 2 hours and 13 minutes. And I think you could probably add a lot more of credits time for Spider-Man Homecoming, probably, compared to Spider-Man, the first one, I think. I could be totally wrong on that. But yeah, it's pretty. They're both pretty comparable. But again, like I said, Spider-Man Homecoming was very good. I would give it the second overall compared to the other two series, and then I would say Spider-Man with Tobey Maguire was number 1, Andrew Garfield's number 3. Let's see if they have Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man review here. I'm sure they do, because it's Google. You can find everything there, right? Yes, this was a lot worse. I kind of figured that. The Amazing Spider-Man with Andrew Garfield. 7 out of 10 on IMDb, which is pretty comparable, pretty close. But Rotten Tomatoes gives it 20% less than Spider-Man Homecoming. 72% only from Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic only gave it 66%. And here's a couple, and only 84% like it of Google users that have liked it. And taking a look here at the reviews. First of all, from Common Sense Media again, Joanna Robledo. Director Mark Webb brings a realism to the proceedings that's hard not to like in this superhero reboot. And I'm not saying this was a bad movie. I just didn't think it was as good as the other ones. Ian Freer of Empire says Spider-Man does whatever Spidey can. No, that's the same one. That's the same review. Did he really do the same review for both movies? That must just be a mistake on Google's part. 10 years after Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man was released and officially launched our current cinematic superhero craze, Marvel delivers a reboot that might just set your Spidey senses a-tingling. That was by Paul Assay, again, by Plugged In. But, again, I think that was the worst of all three. And maybe you can disagree with me, and you can, at Carson Schuby on Twitter if you'd like. But I just think that the way that Spider-Man Homecoming brought the child feeling to it, the kid feeling, which I think is how Spider-Man should be. He's more of a kid than the other superheroes like Batman and Superman and even Iron Man, obviously. And so I just feel like they did a really, really good job of portraying him more as a kid, especially early on. So that way, depending on if Garfield wants to continue being Spider-Man, then he can be Spider-Man into his older years if he wants to be. Of course, it seems like everybody, after a while, gets tired of these superhero movies, whether they're doing their own stunts or not. I don't know. Maybe that's part of the problem, but I think Tom Holland does a really good job as this new Spider-Man. Again, maybe he's a little bit too enthusiastic, but again, that's how kids are supposed to be. They're enthusiastic all the time. And I think that Spider-Man Homecoming did that very, very well. So that is going to do it for my review of Spider-Man Homecoming. If you have any more questions for me about the movie, any other opinions that you want to get out of me, you can find the show on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, The Schuby Show, at The Schuby Show. You can email me, theshubyshow@gmail.com, or you can shout at me on Twitter at Carson Schuby. And that is going to do it for this week's show. A review of Spider-Man Homecoming is what we just did, and I did it while wearing an Ant-Man t-shirt, so that just goes to show how much better Ant-Man... No, just kidding. No, I'm not going to open up that hot take. Superhero movie hot takes. We'll see if we can do that after the Wonder Woman review, hopefully. But that is going to do it here for the Schuby Show this week. We should be back next week, assuming I get a guest for next week. We should have another guest next week lined up for the show. Again, thanks for listening to the show this week, and we'll see you next time. Skol.
Thanks for listening to The Schuby Show. We hope you mildly enjoyed yourself with more never-ending nonsense with yours truly. For more nonsense, go to the website, theschubyshow.com. Get the show on iTunes, Google Play, YouTube, Stitcher, and TuneIn Radio. Until next time, Skol.